Today I'll be giving you a full guide to the Vienna Gambit. More variations will be covered in future videos. So it's with the white pieces. We start off with e4 and e5. It cannot be done without these. And now we go knight c3. Knight c3 is a bit of a weird move because you normally see knight f3 or bishop c4. But knight c3 doesn't really aim to do really much. It just defends this pawn, so we don't have to worry about defending it on our turn, or like on black's turn. So they'll probably go knight f6, and this is where we start the Vienna Gambit. We're going to go f4, and it's a weird gambit because it can't be accepted. If you take this pawn, you're losing because of the simple e5, and this knight has nowhere to go. All of these squares are covered except g8. Then you're going to go knight f3, because queen h4 can be pretty deadly to the black king, because you can't block because of this, if you understand that. But just go knight f3, avoid queen h4. Some people just like to go here, and then you're just going to go d4. You have nice central control. You're attacking this pawn, and I've seen bishop before. I've seen d6. I've seen a whole lot of stuff. If, say, d6, I like to just take, and once they take back, you can go queen e2, just pinning this pawn. And there's a nice little variation here. Knight takes, queen takes, and bishop takes. And this queen is under attack, and you're threatening some nasty discovered checks. So this should definitely be winning for the white pieces. So, obviously, black probably shouldn't take. There's some other variations here where black might like to go bishop b4. This pin isn't something to be worried about. You can simply just take, and if they take back, these pawns are really nice for you. You have your pieces developed. You're ready to get this bishop out and get castled. So I would say this is a nice little advantage for white. So, of course, black probably shouldn't take this pawn. The main line here, but first we'll see another variation, actually. I just realized. After e5, not knight g8. Some people like to go queen e2, pinning this pawn thinking they're smart. Well, now you break the pin, and now the knight has to go somewhere. It has to go to g8, which is its only move, as I said before. And knight f3 is probably the best move to prevent queen h4 once again. Now d6, believe it or not, loses. It's a common trap, actually, and I've seen it happen in my games before. You go knight d5, you're attacking this queen. If the queen moves here, it's a fork. A royal fork, because it attacks 3 pieces at once. So the queen has to move here or here. If it goes, it can't move along this diagonal, so yeah, only 2 moves are here and here. And say after maybe queen d7, there's just check. You take with check, discover check. And nothing can block because this pawn covers. So the king moves, and then you're going to take this pawn. And the only legal move is to give up your queen. And this is completely losing for the black pieces. You're up a queen for a knight, so pretty easy win, I guess. That's another variation. d6 is, of course, just a little trap to keep in mind. But I've seen knight c6. You can go d4 here, as we've seen before in the previous examples. Now d6, the trap isn't as strong, because knight d5 is okay. But the queen... Actually, I wonder. I actually think this might be as strong. Yeah, it's still the same. It's still the same. But I think... yeah, it's just the same now. Yeah. So, yeah, beware of this d6 move when they play queen e2 only. d6 doesn't work if they don't play queen e2, but yeah, beware of that move because it's a nice little trap which will get you into a winning position. And apparently d6 here is the second most popular move, played 57,000 times, which means clearly that it's probably likely to happen in one of your games. So, taking this pawn clearly is not good, as we've seen. So the main line is d5. And black is asking questions to your central pawns and being like, okay, what do you got in you? Okay, like, okay, these pawns don't scare me. I'm not going to take your gambit. But now we take on e5. And I've seen some players play d4, which is actually good because you take and then they take, and then you can take here, but It's probably better. You can actually take here, I guess, but I would probably take here. But computer says, yeah, you should take here. You should take here, and they will take here usually, like queen f6, and you enjoy a nice little advantage. You can play here. You can. Computer suggests this, but then you just go here, and so what if they take? They take. You castle. What now? They develop. Okay, now you have this, and now you're attacking this and this, and this is kind of scary. This is really scary, actually. Okay, a check doesn't harm. Actually, you shouldn't go there. You should attack the bishop, and they have to castle, which is absolutely crazy. And then it's here, and then it's here, and then you take here, and then the queen takes here with check, and then you move back, and then they go here, and they go here. This is a very long variation, but you end up at top with a plus 3.5 advantage. So, yeah. But anyway, back to the main idea, which is d4 is not a good move. You're always welcome to analyze on your own with moves that you think might have worked, or you can always ask them in the comments, and I'll cover them in a later video. So d4 doesn't work, and after takes, they will take back with the knight. Let's turn off the engine for a minute. Queen f3, and there's some variations here. There are a couple of variations. The most popular one by far is take with the knight, and then you take with this b pawn, and there are some variations here, but I see knight c6 a lot, and then we go d4, bishop e7, bishop d3, castles, knight e7. I've seen this, and then castles, and I mean, it's the main line, so you're not going to get a lot of attacking positions, but from here, white has a 66% win rate, which is incredibly high. If I would suggest some ideas, it would probably be these central pawns are really nice for you, so make sure you keep them. Don't trade them off like with f6. With f6, which is actually the most popular move, I suggest queen h5, just going for this pawn. And g6, you can just probably sack. You can sack, and I actually got this position against a Grandmaster bot, and I made a draw. I just made a draw. So if you're playing a super high rated player and you don't think you can win, this position is a draw because it's threefold repetition. You just keep on repeating the same position, it's draw. So that's just another helpful thing to remember. But yeah, f6, queen h5. That's one thing to remember. So if any move, basically g6, then you just go bishop h6, and this square you're trying to fight for, so your queen can go in there. So yeah, that's basically the main line here. But there's some stuff that can happen after queen f3. First of all, you can get this move, and it don't take here. I'm gonna turn on the engine because I need to see its moves. But you do not want to take here because this is bad. After this, it gets bad. It gets really bad. There is a threat on this queen and a fork, so you have to protect that. And this is scary. A knight in the middle. Black's got a further advanced central pawn, so I would not recommend taking this knight. Instead, you should go bishop b4 pinning. They will likely go bishop e7, I've seen. But then now you can take. Now you can take because knight e5 doesn't exist because of takes with check. And then you can go here this time, and once they take, you can just take back. So, yeah. Bishop b5, you should play. Blocking isn't great, as we've seen before. They'll take, and now it's important not to take with the b pawn. Don't ask me why, I don't know, but it's just, like, commonly accepted fact you should take with the d pawn. And there's a line with queen h4 and here, and you don't actually have to take. There's a nice little gambit here where you let white take all your pawns, but then you just castle, and it's plus 5.9 because you aim at this f7 square. And I'll just show you a quick little line here. And then we have this, and then you're forced to take out the bishop. You go here, and this is a crushing position. This is an absolutely devastating position to be in for black because there's this and this, and apparently queen takes is top move, because if you move somewhere like here, there's just this, and if you take back, we have this. I'm just going off computer moves, but it's still a very especially long line, and you end up with a bishop. You end up with an extra bishop is all I'm trying to say. But long line, but long story short, you can do this line, but I would go over on your own, because after bishop f5, this gambit doesn't really work, because in the end, they shouldn't take. They shouldn't take. They shouldn't take, or else they just help you. But in the end, I think it's safe to say that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's equal, but it's a pretty big line. Pretty big line. So if you're up for some memorization, you can play the gambit, but I wouldn't do it. Instead, the main line is just to take, and go here. Your pencil to castle, get this dark squared bishop out, have a nice little attack with connected rooks, and meanwhile, this king knight not doing well. But although simply here and here, you're looking for a pretty even game. But if you're like around, even at my level, I don't get this often. I don't really get it, because they really don't. They sometimes take, but they don't really play this line of the of what I just covered. They usually, at my 1800 elo level, they just take, and they'll just go for some nice little passive setup so they can play quickly, and they'll castle, and then you go there, and then they give a check, and then you block, and then they go there, and then they go there, and then there. I actually got this in one of my games today, in a live stream I did today. But yeah, if you're lower elo, I would suggest that you look into this line more, because I think this would happen 80% of the time. I played a 1600 yesterday just for fun, and they took, and they lost in like 20 moves. So yeah, that's about it for the Vienna Gambit. Maybe in an upcoming video, you'll see knight c6 and some other replies to knight c3. But yeah.